We're on a record in cause number 329168. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Jacob Wayne Murphy. Mr. Murphy, is that your full name? Is he on mute? Mr. Murphy, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Mr. Murphy.
Can you now?
Okay, we're on the record in cause number 329168. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Jacob Wayne Murphy. Mr. Murphy, is that your full name?
Jacob
Mr.
Murphy?
Jacob Wayne Murphy, is that your full name?
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Murphy, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Murphy, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Murphy, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Murphy?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Now, Mr. Murphy, you're there with your attorney, Mr. Ryan Matuska. Is that correct? He's in the next booth.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murphy, the information in this case now, looking at the information, it has cause number 329168 and is written over, the same number is written over that number 329168. In this information, Mr. Murphy, it states or it alleges that on or about February 5th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed to Class B misdemeanor offense of possession of a controlled substance penalty group 2A. Mr. Murphy, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Murphy, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Murphy, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you're guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murphy, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. And on the second page of this document is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On the second page of this document, there are a set of initials, JM, on a line next to a box that's checked guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes, sir, I did.
And on page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line titled Defendant. Mr. Murphy, did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, there's a signature at the bottom of this document above the line that's titled Defendant. And is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? Mr. Murphy, do you understand that this is a plea bargain case and you do not have a right of appeal?
Yes, sir.
The next box that's checked states that you are waiving the right to appeal, which means that you're giving up the right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murphy, there's a document out there before you that is titled Discovery Certification. Did you sign that document?
Yes, sir.
Now, prior to signing these documents, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir, it is.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Matuska, you have any objections? Mr. Matuska, do you have any objections to the state offering State's Exhibit Number 1? Mr. Matuska, do you have any objections to the state offering State's Exhibit Number 1? I barely can hear you. You have any objections to the state offering? Something's wrong with your mic.
No objection.
Okay, no objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Matuska, you advised on counsel, Mr. Murphy. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Good.
Okay, let me ask you this question again. You've advised on counsel, Mr. Murphy. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Murphy, your attorney, Mr. Matuska, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murphy, I'll accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I'll also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I'll also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. It's for 20 days credit for time served, tax, and retire of the court costs.
Mr. Murphy, the state is offering that you serve 20 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 20 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you will be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $327, but you would not have to pay that either because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and retired. Mr. Murphy, do you understand the state's offer? Mr. Murphy,
Yes,
do
sir.
you, okay, and do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir, it is.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murphy, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Murphy, this will conclude your case. You can follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
You too, sir.
We're on the record in two cases. First case is cause number 327-388. Second case is cause number 327-299. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Matthew Jerome Parker.
Sir.
Is that your full name, Mr. Parker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Parker, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Parker, you may put your hand down. Mr. Parker, how are you doing?
That's fine.
Okay. Now, just for the record, Mr. Parker, I've never represented you before in a case, have I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Parker, the information alleges that on or about August 4th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, and this is in cause number 327-388. The information alleges that on or about August 4th of 2020, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. Mr. Parker, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, Mr. Parker, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest?
Yes.
What did you say?
Guilty.
Guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty?
Nope. No contest.
Mr. Parker, how are you pleading?
Guilty.
Hey, no contest.
Oh, no contest.
Okay. Well, hold on a minute. Oh, is this, hold on. Okay. Okay, now, Mr. Parker, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Sir?
Are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Parker, I have before me a document that is entitled to Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. On page 2 of this document, there are some initials on the line that says nola contendere. It says nola contendere, and which means no contest. Did you initial this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of this same document, Mr. Parker, there's a signature at the top of this document above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled the Trial Court Certification of the Defendant's Right of Appeal, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to appeal or you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
There's a document out there, Mr. Parker, that is titled Discovery Certification. Mr. Parker, did you sign that document that is titled Discovery Certification?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Parker, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. LeBlanc, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'd also like to offer State's Exhibit number 2. That's the probable cause affidavit for this case.
Mr. LeBlanc,
We have no objections, Your Honor.
no objections. State's Exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. LeBlanc, you've advised in counsel, Mr. Parker, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
Mr. Parker, your attorney, Mr. LeBlanc, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it's for 45 days credit for time served, tax, and retire of the court costs.
Okay. Mr. Parker, the state is offering that in this case that you serve 45 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 45 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $337, but you will not have to pay that either because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Mr. Parker, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Parker, do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes.
And Mr. Parker, do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Parker, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Mr. Parker, your next case is cause number 327922. And the information in this case alleges that on or about September 20th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. Mr. Parker, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Parker, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker, I have before me the misdemeanor plea admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 2 of this document, there are a set of initials on the line next to the box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Or did you initial this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of this document, above the, on the next page of this document, above the title, well, on the next page of this document, Mr. Parker, there's a signature above the line that says Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Parker, prior to signing and initialing this document, did you, there's another document here that is titled the Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. And Mr. Parker, at the bottom of this document, there is a signature above the line that says Defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
There are two boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you are waiving your right to appeal or you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Now, you should have signed a document out there that is titled the Discovery Certification. Did you sign that document?
Yes, sir.
Now, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney, Mr. LeBlanc, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'd also like to offer State's Exhibit Number 2, that's the probable cause affidavit for this case.
Mr. LeBlanc, you have any objections?
We have no objections, Your Honor.
No objections. State's Exhibits Number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. LeBlanc, you've advised in counsel Mr. Parker in this case as well. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Parker, your attorney, Mr. LeBlanc, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Mr. Parker, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty in this case. And state, do we have a plea bargain agreement in cause number 327922?
Yes, Your Honor, it's for 45 days, credit for time served, tax and retire of the court costs.
Mr. Parker, the state is offering that you serve 45 days in Jefferson County Jail. In this case, however, you would not have to serve any more time in the jail, in the Jefferson County Jail in this case, because you've already served 45 days in jail, so therefore you'll be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $342, but you will not have to pay that either because the time you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Mr. Parker, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Parker, I will follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Parker, please follow the bailiff and have a blessed day. And this will conclude your case. And Mr.
Thank you, Your
LeBlanc,
Honor.
this will conclude your cases as well. You have a blessed day as well.
You too, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Monty.
Yes, sir.
What are we gonna do next? Are you breaking for lunch or what, how
I've
you?
got inmates standing by here. There's nothing in the place for that to happen with them. I mean,
Okay. So,
we've got 5 pro ses.
okay, so we need to bring them in one at a time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Haley Gillott.
Okay. We're on the record in cause number 321832, State of Texas versus Haley Nicole Galat. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Galat, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Galat, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Galat, you may put your hand down.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we had Ms. Galat on the jail docket on April 8th. And at that time, she had said she wanted to represent herself. And then after I talked to her, she didn't like the offer that I had in the case, and then the case was reset. She's actually not even in custody on the case that's on the docket.
Oh. Could you look in her file right quick? Just hold on a minute.
Can I represent myself?
Apparently, she didn't sign the judge's explanation of rights.
She has a magistrate on.
She got a magistrate's warning? Let me see that. Hold on a minute. Okay, we're on the record in cause number 321832, the State of Texas versus Haley Nicole Galat. Ms. Galat was previously sworn in. Now, Ms. Galat, I'm looking at a magistrate's warning that was, we received, oh, this is from last year. Okay. Ms. Galat,
Yes, sir.
As a defendant in a criminal case, you have three options. Number one, you may hire an attorney. Do you understand that option?
Yes, sir.
Number two, if you do not have enough money to hire an attorney, you may request an attorney be appointed to represent you. Do you understand that option?
Yes, sir.
Number three, you may represent yourself. Do you understand that option?
Yes, sir.
If you want an attorney to represent you and have enough money to hire an attorney, the case will be reset to give you time to do so. If you want an attorney and do not have the money to hire one, you will need to fill out a financial questionnaire so that the proper person can determine whether or not to appoint an attorney to represent you.
Yes,
You may not speak to the prosecutor about your case unless you sign a written waiver of your right to be represented by an attorney. Do you understand that?
yes, sir.
Be aware that there are dangers to self-representation. Waiving your right to an attorney and representing yourself may result in a worse outcome for you and your case, including the loss of significant legal rights and opportunities relating to military service, possession of a firearm, housing and public benefits, child custody, immigration status for non-citizens, and employment. If you choose to proceed without an attorney, you may change your mind at any time and may request counsel from the court. Now, Ms. Galat, you have the following choices. If your choice is, I want to reset this case to hire my own attorney, then your case will be reset. If your choice is, I have already hired an attorney whose name is, then you will inform the court the name of the attorney that you hired. Your case will be reset and that attorney will be given a copy of your reset date.
Yes, sir.
Or if your choice is, I want to apply for court-appointed counsel, then you would have to fill out a financial questionnaire. Or if you already have been in a court-appointed counsel for this case, you'll inform the court the name of that attorney, and the court will reset your case and contact your attorney with the reset date. Or the final choice is, if you want to waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself, you have to first sign a written waiver of counsel. Ms. Galat, do you understand your options?
Yes, sir.
And what is your choice?
I'll represent myself.
Okay, now, Ms. Galat, let's do this. Okay, Ms. Galat,
Yes, sir.
there is a waiver of counsel in what is called States Exhibit Number 1, which is a misdemeanor plea admonishment under on page 2 under the paragraph that is titled waivers. And the waiver of counsel reads as follows. It states, I have been advised this day by the court of my right to representation by counsel in the case pending against me. I have been advised and understand that if I am determined to be indigent, counsel will be appointed to me free of charge. Understanding my right to have counsel appointed free of charge, if I am found to be indigent, I wish to waive that right and request the court proceed with my case without an attorney being appointed for me. I specifically waive my right to be represented by an attorney, to consult with an attorney before I give up these enumerated rights. It is my decision to represent myself, and I do so knowing the dangers and disadvantages of self-representation. I further elect not to request appointment of counsel. Now, Ms. Galat, is that your desire?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do this.